that on Earth Day, I was able to attend with my son Theo a sister brother family extension here in Sacramento that will be happening. Training for the Peaceful's Garden project starts this next Monday. And Kira and Heather and Eldonia are part of that. There are 5 lead artists who are going to be trained, and I'm one of them that's going into the training. So I am so appreciative. I did go to a community for peace, and they're starting a community garden at a crisis center in one of our more impoverished neighborhoods, and it was very beautiful. It was very beautiful. And when Black and Brown Go Green is here in Sacramento, is going to flourish here in Sacramento as well. So it was just amazing and touched my my entire being. And it was an Afro-Indigenous perspective and ceremony. So how's that? Wow. All right, here we go. Share screen. Yay. So you guys tell me, okay, if I don't do anything exactly correct. Now I think I can go full. There you go. Yay. Okay, so I have been very blessed to have been in this house here with Ted from the time that our son Theo was in the belly, and he's going to be 26 in October. So I appreciate that, that when Kira asked me to do this, it really did cause me to reflect on how our own backyard, this backyard, you know, has such deep meaning for me over time, and how art has flourished in this house from the time that we've been here. As a matter of fact, Theo's first year birthday, when we held our celebration, I put paint out and everybody painted on the fence. So, you know, so from the very, very beginning, and I know that I am a person who is privileged that way. So there may be people in our group who don't have a backyard. And I just want for you to reflect as I share some of what I've been doing in the backyard with art and what an integral part it is, that, you know, there are things I hope you take away for a patio, if you're in an apartment, or for a park, or for anywhere. But this happens to be my backyard. Every photo in here is art from there. Okay. So I'm gonna go a little bit quickly, just in the interest of time, so that you have some we have some time for poetry too. But I wanted to share that our backyard, and this was from a couple of nights ago, our backyard has really become a paradise and a respite for us because of the infusion of art there. Last year during pandemic, here we were, right? And this is the place that we had to be. And the year before that, Ted had, we had found cancer. And so he had radiation, and we learned to be still. We learned to be at home. We learned to watch. We couldn't take a nature walk. He also had some other stuff that put him in a wheelchair, and we couldn't do a nature walk. And so we learned how to watch the birds. And so that was just really a powerful, powerful place for us all. So I know that everybody is most interested in Faye's mural. And so I organized some photos here to share it with you. My son Theo is not on our call. I did invite him into When Black and Brown Goes Green, and he is a musician artist. And so I'm sure that he's going to be participating here in Sacramento. But he's been my garden guru this whole time. And so so when we both heard about Faye's transition, the very next day Theo came over, and he had so much grief. And what we did was we went to the backyard, and we found I had already set this spot aside, and we just put our hands in the earth. So Theo and I planted the garden. And then I have done quite a few murals in the 25 plus years that I've been here. And so the ones I've painted on the fence had faded away over time where the fence comes down. I did one on plywood and I didn't keep it up with the right kinds of materials. But because I had some paintings that my daughter and I had done on cloth and then sealed, I decided to use duck cloth. So I bought some heavy duty duck cloth and then I coated it with kilts, which is mildew primer, mildew resistance primer, and then I started to draw. So it took me a little, I'm going to say about a month and a half over time, because life happens, you know, you don't get to paint every single day. But throughout that time, it was so powerful, because I really felt that Faye was with me. I really felt that she inspired us. So here is it. I just finished it this past week, and here it is at sunrise, and it's dappled with the light. And I did put. Sorry, I'm getting choked up here. I did put little angel fairies there. So I put the fairies so that that Faye, and it just turned out to be 5, you know, and I remembered she said she was the 5 a.m. club, right? And we kind of tease about that, but I just happened to put 5. And so you see a fairy rising from the grass, you see a fairy looking up, you see a fairy reclining on the flower, and you see another fairy angel kind of looking down on us, and then there's one that is dancing. So that is our mural, and I'm going to keep going, okay? So we can come back for questions. So it's really interesting that we talked about pots because, and stones and rocks. Well, yeah, we talked about the rocks, but not the pots, sorry. But I have been doing pots for years now, and I've done them with my children, you know, etc. And so I decided I would just put some on here. And this is a way to infuse art into your home and into your garden. And so I recently, I put some up here because I have a friend who works with developmentally disabled adults, and he asked me if I would teach him so he can teach them. And so I just took some photos of a technique where I was spray painting and upside down and let it drip, and then that drip becomes a part of it. But you can paint in many different ways. I usually buy those leftover little mix-up paints at Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace like that, and I stack them. And then I also use spray paint and paint markers. So the one with the sun, I even sent to my sister. Here's my rocks. Some of my rocks. I have a lot of rocks, and rocks have many different meanings. There is a group called Cali Rocks, and their whole intent of the group is to give rocks away and to leave rocks. And they have a tag on the back so that when people find them, they acknowledge them, and then they leave them, you know, in another place. So I wanted to share some of the ways that I have brought rocks I have brought them to life. And that is, if you see on the left-hand side, that's a power rock down there, the Black Panther. And I also put some black light paint over it. I have rocks everywhere through my house, every altar, every table, everywhere. In every pot that I have in my backyard, I have painted rocks. And I have a rock garden under the waterfall, and I add rocks to it. But I also painted rocks for my garden. And so you can see that I painted the different vegetables. So wherever I am growing, you know, something, I put the power rock right there to help it grow. And then I have a small picture of the back of the rock. So because I do put power words on the back. It's important to seal things, as you probably already know, but I learned it the hard way. When I didn't seal my rocks thoroughly or go back and seal them, they faded, and then they returned to their rock-like state without paint. Same thing with the pots. because we were talking about art in the garden and art in my backyard, I did want to share with you some other ways of creating art. Ted and I do wind chimes together. The birds that are clay, we actually cut out from clay. And when I was a principal at a school, I had access to a kiln. I don't anymore, but we actually created those. And then driftwood from our travels, he drilled and we strung, and stringing beads. The part where I have the shower curtains, we're blessed to have a hot tub, and that is our place of peace. But we would want to slip out in the morning early, especially when he was in cancer treatment, and we often didn't want to go with clothes on. So we realized there's windows, and so I took some shower curtains and I painted God and Goddess Tree of Life there. And then all the way to the right is painting furniture. And so, and then you can reuse it. Like the one on the bottom is some chairs that kind of like faded, but I still use them. And then the table, which was beautiful, I didn't seal correctly, but I happened to find a photo, and I kind of learned the hard way that when you do paint furniture, you really have to seal well, maybe Minwax. The other thing that the backyard or wherever you are can do for you is to display other people's art. And so this is just a quick photo because I wanted to include it when you do art in the garden. It doesn't necessarily have to be all your art, right? Probably the most powerful thing for me about outside and nature is that the backyard has been a studio for me. And as I shared with you during pandemic and before that during health crisis times, this has been my place to go and breathe with the birds. And so the Be Here Now, my daughter painted actually. So, and I've done chakra bags outside with the stones and prayed and meditated out there. This mural is an original mural that I painted between my son Theo and Celine. I had a miscarriage. I lost a baby, and this was a way of healing myself. I put Theo on top of that wolf and played flute music for 3 days as I painted and healed. And then my daughter Celine was conceived a few months after that. I often use my backyard as a backdrop for my art, and I want to point out that this birdhouse right here is Kira's birdhouse. So when I was down with her, I photographed all of her beautiful garden. Oh my goodness, she could be doing this. Her beautiful garden and her art, and then I painted it and I took it outside to take a photograph in the light. So I use my backyard as a way to bring light and to photograph my own art. And the last piece here is my backyard is a sacred power place to paint, and there's lots of places for you to create, and I create when I'm outside in nature too, but this happens to be one. I did a mandala for my son Theo, and it was so very pure, and I felt very inspired with it, and I would pray, and I felt guided by spirit. And I mean, literally just, the energy was amazing to be outside, doing that outside. So couldn't go to the forest where I think at that time he was, but I found a way. So this is just about my last slide. And I just want you to think through for yourself, and maybe we can do a little bit of a share. I'm an educator, so I never like to do things where I'm just doing all the talking, but I did a lot of reflection myself, and maybe you can put it in the chat, or we can share if we have a moment afterwards about what is significant to you about how to blend the spirit of art and nature. So as you can see here, I shared about some of this piece. I want to point out the garden part, when black and brown go green, and that my son Theo is my garden guru, and is an urban farmer and amazing, and is with me every step of the way. So that's like a strong bond for us. we've recently made sure that we have a lot of rainbow lights at night, solar lights all through. And in Faye's mural, I put, the first thing I did was got an angel for her in the center and put some solar lilies on the side so that it would be infused at night. And then you can see that creating a space, a sacred space, also gives way for ceremony and spirit. And this picture is my family, and my son's girlfriend is the one on the far right, and that's my daughter and my son. And this is winter solstice. So the backyard environment and nature and the garden has become a place where we pray together and we do ceremony. And it has deep meaning there. So my last slide. Some people look for a beautiful place, others make a place beautiful. Thank you. Okay. All right.
That was really lovely, very lovely. Thank you so much. And boy, I see how you were sent to us, like, and you're such an angel. It's like how she talks about meaning and how art adds meaning to our lives is super important for all of us to keep remembering, you know. I mean, when we get overwhelmed or scared or fragmented or all of those things, you know, scared for me, you know, with health problems in the last year, I was scared, and nature really, you know, and art and nature. And when I say art, I mean all the arts. Like, I love music and theater when I'm outside sometimes. It's like it connects. So that's enough from me. You all know about my garden. Could we have maybe other people who would like, Marjorie, did you want to share a poem? I know you had, and Chris too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Patricia.
And when you are sharing your poetry, can you talk about how you were inspired and how poetry inspires you?
Should I go now?
Mhm.
So I have a quick haiku that I can share the screen on, but there's one poem that I really want to read first. And it was after a rainy day, looking at the trees and the raindrops sparkling on them. Because we all go through stuff. And this was a reminder to myself. Gray days contain magic. Golden rays highlight cloud edges, leaves sparkle from rain, breezes cool my thoughts. Gray days contain magic. Ephemeral mermaid tears evaporate, spill out of clouds. Gray days contain magic. Reach up, twist puffy cloud roving into yarn. I shall knit a sky sweater. Gray days contain magic. Children's moon peeks out during the day. Moonbeams mix with sunbeams. Pure magic can be found on gray days. And the other day, I was in a bit of a hurry and I was watering my orchids and I broke off this incredible cluster. And I looked at it and I moved it to my windowsill and I saw something I had never seen before. Get this down. I looked at this. I mean, purple has many meanings for me. Of course, Faye and also my daughter. And I saw wings because from the flower being backlit.
Mm.
And here's the haiku. Orchids take delight in butterflies. Wing shadows are held within their petals. So anytime when something doesn't quite go right, something breaks or whatever, look at it in a different light and you might see something that actually can bring some joy, even though there's pain there. That was my takeaway from that. Thank you.
Wow, that is beautiful. I'm sure Alyssa and Faye are clapping from heaven. Patricia and Chris. Chris, do you want to go next? And then Patricia, is that okay?
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much, because you've given me one of the greatest inspirations that I can ever have, and while I'm breathing in this world, and that's to make a song. So whenever life gives me that kind of energy, it's beyond words. But there's been some lyrics that's been in my head. I'm just gonna play some really simple chords and sing it to you. I wanna forget, I wanna remember, but I was a child before I was a sinner. I wanna go home, but I don't wanna go home. Before I was a loser, I was a winner. The lyrics. I want to forget, I want to remember. I was a child before I was a sinner. I want to go home, but I don't want to go home. Before I was a loser, I was a winner.
Beautiful.
That was beautiful, Chris. Thank you for
Beautiful.
sharing that. Wow.
Very powerful.
Yeah. I think Patricia had something too. Thank you, Chris.
That's a bit of a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
I'm just going to share my screen on Kira asked me to show some work that is, let's see. I'm not sure.
Is it not working?
Yeah, hold on. Just
Sure.
trying to- Okay. There we go. Can everyone see that now?
Yep.
So these are actually banners. They measure, each one is 3 feet across and about 8 feet long. And Kira asked me to share these because they've been displayed in my courtyard, because I have a steep incline in my garden, but I have an inner courtyard in the house. And I've put up white panels and I can display art on them, and I can have exhibits and share my work and other people's work right within my own home. So I'm going to move up just a little bit closer. I'm going to try anyway. See if I can get rid of this. So that you can see a little bit better. Each of the 4 panels has a central figure with a mask. And I think that this is probably why when you're thinking about all the different aspects of yourself and all the different masks that you might wear in life. So they actually weren't all my eyes, but I think like dreams, when you have a dream, the dream represents, all the people in the dream represent what you think they represent, and they also represent yourself. So I encourage everybody that makes visual art to make the art and then perhaps go back sometime later and look at the art and actually have it talk back to you. this is something that you've made, but it's also your own voice speaking back to you. I find that's very helpful to me sometimes. It takes on a completely different meaning when you look back at work that you've made from a long time ago. So these were made in aid of originally in aid of a passport to South America, and they were displayed at the Encinitas Community Center to begin with. Most of them are now gone, sold, but this was the set of 4 that I also was able to have on display in the house for a while. So thank you for letting me share.
That was beautiful. Do they have a title for the 4 pieces?
Yeah, I think they all 4 have different titles, but I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Okay, that's fine. It's it's funny how you can remember art but not remember exactly, you know. It's like, because I asked Patricia to share because I remember just being blown away by these 8-foot, you know, art pieces in her courtyard. And then I'm so glad you shared what you did. Thank you.
Well, and one of the reasons I started making banners like this more consistently was that I had a show in Oxford University, and I had to get the work over to Oxford. And so by making these banners, I could roll them up and put them in the luggage and then unroll them. And they had a very large presence because, you know, altogether 12 feet by 8 feet, that's a pretty big space to take up. So it's Kira's been able to do this with silk banners as well as pottery as well. But these are actually, a lot of these are banners. I think you'll find that if you go to your city councils, if they have a program that puts banners up on stanchions around the city, when those come down, sometimes the artists don't claim them or they don't want them. And so all this canvas was all donated to me, which was very nice. Thank you. And they live in my courtyard.
That's great.
Nice. I love the idea of being outside, you know, and having art surrounding you outside. That's what California is all about.
We're lucky.
It's truly beautiful. Patricia, do you have a website that you can share with us?
Yes. Yeah, my website is, I'll put it on the link, but it's also easy. It's drawscrowd.com.
Thank you so much.
And on that website, you'll also see, oops, seemed right this morning. You'll also see one of my latest series, which is called Not Your Mother's Finger Bowls. And in that, I have a lot of clear glass sculptures that I put in a fountain that's also in our courtyard. And there's a little video of that. So look for that under Not Your Mother's Finger Bowls.
Thank you so much. It was really beautiful. I love the fantasy of it. I really like that kind of painting.
Yeah, good. Enjoy. My
Thank
pleasure.
Thank you. Do we have other people that want to share? Poetry, thoughts, Camille and James, you're new. Would you like to share something?
Oh, well, thank you for offering. I don't know if I have anything to show.
Do you do any art performance to just like, you know, sometimes I'm going to confess, sometimes I get overwhelmed and I go outside and I just go like this, you know, it's a body thing, I guess, but not very many people know that about me because I'm, but, you know, so I don't know, what does a performer do? Like, what would you do?
Yeah, well, I'm a musician. Like
Chris is?
Like Chris is. Yeah, we've met through doing music together. I don't know. I could show something that I had been working on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do a solo guitar version of a jazz tune called Just Friends. It was famously played by Chet Baker, but here. was trying to like make a version just with chords and melody for guitar. So let's see if I remember how to play it. I wrote it a while ago. Oh no, already messed up. Oh God, I don't remember how I played it. I have a video of myself doing it.
Well, we like seeing you
Gotta
do it.
find
It was
that.
beautiful, actually, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
because
I'm glad I
while
could
you
do the
were
first
playing-
20 seconds.
Just so you know that while you were playing, it was a little mesmerizing to just watch you think about it.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Did other people get that feeling too?
Yes.
You know, I mean, because that's kind of what we're talking about, is that whole creative process, right? Do you want,
Yeah.
you know, do you want to come back sometime and maybe you could show, you know, you could be a guest artist and show us maybe more about the process and video, whatever.
Sure.
Your guitar. What can we see your guitar? It's so special.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what
Let's see it.
looks
It's
like.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
That is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love it. It's
Very nice.
very like, you know, sentimental. But
So we actually only have 1 minute left.
well, there was some great ideas that you were throwing to me, Kira, that I'd love to talk about with you,
Okay.
with Jude as well.
And
So we could
Tara,
do it.
I'd like to have Tara in on that conversation too, and anybody else that wants to be part of it too. That
Yeah.
might be.
That sounds like fun.
We'll start brainstorming. Yay!
Yeah. It had began with I was just trying to put on some concerts at porticos, and now it's this whole big thing. I'm really excited for it.
You know, one thing one thing that I'm sure Patricia and Maria and probably Renee know too is that, and Marjorie, is that there's research that the Wallace Foundation did a few years ago. And the Wallace Foundation does a lot of research into how the arts work. Like why are we compelled to go to art exhibits or performances or music or those kinds of things. So my job was to actually expand the arts in Monterey County. So I really got into it. And the number one change that's been happening is people want to have a multi-level experience when they go to an event.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to just go see art on the wall. They want to have an experience. So when you bring together the music and performance and projections and everything that all of us do, the poetry, Marjorie, I just want to say your poetry just hits me so much. And Chris, your song, and James, thank you for sharing that. We are at 12. Are there anybody that have a burning thing to say before we end?
Yeah, I have one thing I want to say.
Okay.
I'm very excited for next week. We're going to do some amazing things, and I hope everybody comes back because Kira's not going to be here, but I'm going to be hosting. Is that correct, Kira?
Is that the 15th?
Yes.
It's the next week, right?
20.
Or is it not next week?
It's not until May.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Well, I hope to see everybody back next week. It's been so amazing.
I hope to have everybody back too. And I thank you,
Oh.
Tara, for being co-host. And Tara is going to be taking over while, you know, what Renee was talking about. Felecia, I love, had this plan to do a certification for artists in Sacramento on serious, wonderful, important issues like climate and race and violence. And so we are doing that. And Renee is part of it. Heather is part of it. Aldonia and I are going. And Tara is holding the fort And so I would ask that all of you please support her in those weeks while I'm gone.
Yes, please come, and we'll have amazing things happening. I promise.
I have something I wanted to bring up before we close.
Okay.
Just that, just for us to all be holding space in prayer for our beloved sister Jo Marie in Sacramento, who's going through some health challenges, and she's been such an oh, sorry, was I muted?
Yeah.
Oh, forgive me. I wanted to just see if we could all just hold for a moment now and ongoingly space in our hearts and our prayers for our sister Jo Marie, who's going through some health challenges and has been such a beloved part of our community from the beginning of Compassionate California and Arts, and just so that we could hold her in prayer now and ongoingly.
Thank you,
Definitely.
Laura, for that. That is really important because Jo Marie was a huge part of why we're in Sacramento, and we love her dearly, and we are holding her in our hearts and thoughts. So thank you for saying that. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and check us out next Saturday.
Thank you.
Oh, Tara, what are we doing next Saturday? Do we know what we're focusing on?
We're still talking about that, so we're going to send out the flyer.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everybody.
The other thing I forgot is any youth that are interested in
Laura, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Laura.
Lupe from last week, I'm going to be sending a note about having a little conversation about how that can
Okay, you might need to put that in the chat, Laura. We email us and we can send out an announcement, because we couldn't hear about 80% of what you said. I'm sorry to tell you.
I saw your email about Lupe. I think
Okay.
As well. I think we should add Tara in that
Okay.
chat.
That's good. So you guys are on top of it,
Yeah.
right? Chris? Okay. All
I'll
right.
talk to you, Chris.
Love to you all. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.